Now, not every time after someone has an amazing debut do they follow it up. It's kind of called the sophomore slump of filmmakers.
And sophomore slump.
Sophomore slump.
Sophomore directors, like musicians, oftentimes have to face the incredibly difficult task of meeting high standards set by their first works. We've seen this in franchises, album releases, and seasons of a show. Super high expectations can really hurt the creative balance of a storyteller and put a lot of pressure on a person. Directors often face this struggle. Directors like Josh Trank, who went from pushing out an incredible first movie to creating a second film which didn't garner as much praise and was even loathed by some audiences. This doesn't mean they're bad directors, it just means that they didn't make the best movie they could have made for their second outing. They didn't catch that magic that was in their first movie that people really liked. But on the other hand, we have directors like Sofia Coppola, Spike Jonze, and Spike Lee, who smashed these expectations and surpassed scrutiny at a certain level with what we consider great movies. Then we have the current sophomore directors who currently only have 2 movies under their belt, and not including anything that's not feature films like short films, TV movies, and music videos. We will start off with lesser known directors who have been killing it in the field but haven't received the attention they deserve from the press and awards. Directors like Riley Stearns, who kicked off his career with Faults in 2012, a comedic crime drama, and released his second film, The Art of Self-Defense, in 2019, starring Jesse Eisenberg. Riley seems to have a style of writing that infuses drama and comedy together. The only difference with his new movie being that it contains more action than the first, mostly because it's a movie about martial arts. If having to beat your first movie isn't hard enough, imagine coming from a family of cinema royalty that's responsible for some of the best films of yesterday and today. That's exactly what Gia Coppola had to face when releasing Mainstream in 2020, a movie about the dangers of social media and how being an influencer is anything but emotionally rewarding. Gia Coppola's first film basically proved that she does have the talent and mindset to produce films on par with her relatives like her grandfather, Francis Ford Coppola, and her aunt, Sofia Coppola. We're not gonna get into nepotism at the moment, even though it forms a huge part of Hollywood and it is a big problem in the industry. Let's get a little scary now. Babak Anvari has been silently becoming one of the best horror directors in today's world of cinema. Starting with his cult hit Under the Shadow in 2016, the psychological horror story about a mom and daughter living through war and supposed paranormal entities living in their home. Babak Anvari later revisited the concept of trauma with Wounds in 2019. This time, Babak used an actual cannibal, Armie Hammer, and made him go through hell with cockroaches. Did you know that the award-winning actor Edward Norton is a movie director too? Ed Norton also released his sophomore movie in 2019, Motherless Brooklyn, starring none other than himself, in a similar move to when he played one of the main characters in his first movie, Keeping the Faith, which is a lot more secular than it sounds. He's just like that. He's an actor at heart, but a pretty effective director as well. Sean Durkin also waited several years to release their sophomore film. Sean debuted with Marcy May Marlene in 2011, and almost a decade later released The Nest, 2 very deep, slow burn movies loved by critics. Not everyone's cup of tea, but if you like depressing stories, I recommend Sean Durkin's films to you. If you like variety, Jen McGowan's movies are a good place to start. Jen's 2014 movie, Kelly and Cal, is a feel-good movie that's pretty funny and charming in an indie kind of way. Her second movie, Rust Creek from 2018, is the story of a kidnapped teenage girl who has to survive against all odds in a horror thriller that's nothing like the first film. If you know Shaka King, you know that he's worked on several shows just like the aforementioned Jen McGowan, but Shaka's works are a little more telling of his growth within the industry. Shaka's first movie, The Newlyweds from 2013, and his second movie, Judas and the Black Messiah from 2021, both tell eye-opening stories about oppression in the United States. But the latter film shows a very stark contrast in production quality, where the budget reflects itself on clear visuals. Nonetheless, both films are very impactful and introspective. Director Chris Morris has a similar career. His satirical and oftentimes political movies give way to his dark comedic voice. First on his list is Four Lions, which features an early career Riz Ahmed. The movie centers around 4 incompetent terrorists trying to plot a terror attack. Yeah, this is a real dark comedy. His second movie focuses around a preacher who is unaware that he is being manipulated by an FBI agent into becoming a revolutionary criminal to stir problems in the projects. Arya Astor blew the film world away with his first movie, Hereditary, which was a critical and commercial success worldwide. He then released Midsommar the next year and managed to capture the same, if not more, level of success this time around. Arya Astor has written several movies and directed many short films before, but he got the chance to prove himself as a legend in the horror genre with these two movies, and hopefully does it a third time with this upcoming film, Disappointment Boulevard, which is currently filming. We've seen when a writer becomes a director, but what about a production designer? The person responsible for designing not just the set, but the look and the feel of the movie. That's the case of Robert Eggers, who just like Arya Astor released both his horror films through A24 and had a similar fortune with critical and commercial success. Robert Eggers' first movie is The Witch, or The Witch, which is a period horror film that gives off the same appeal as classic literature. The same can be said for his second film, The Lighthouse, which also finds itself telling a foreboding story with the same morally cautionary undertones of a book you'd find in an English teacher's reading list. His next period piece will be coming out soon and will show how far a Viking prince will seek to find justice for his murdered father in The Northman. If you like A24, you probably know about Lady Bird, and if you know about Lady Bird, you probably know about its director, Greta Gerwig, and her career evolution from main actress to the director's chair. But thanks to her success with Lady Bird in 2017 with actress Saoirse Ronan, she managed to make a name for herself in the world of directing. She reunited with Saoirse and Timothée Chalamet to make the 2019 film Little Women, an adaptation of the classic novel of the same name. Little Women managed to garner nominations and won for Best Costume Design at the Academy Awards. Her next directing project is the upcoming live-action Barbie doll movie, an interesting project to say the least.
Last, but certainly not least on our list of best sophomore directors, who also went from only being an actor to becoming a recognized director. Jordan Peele used to be known for his acting in comedies, alongside longtime friend Keegan-Michael Key on several projects, but in 2017, Jordan made film history by releasing Get Out, and single-handedly revitalized the horror film genre, and became the first black writer to win an Academy Award for the best writing for original screenplay. Jordan Peele then released Us 2 years later and became a producer for multiple films and television shows that used his name as a symbol of quality. Jordan Peele is planning to release a third movie simply titled Nope by July of next year. An honorable mention on this list is directors Daniel Kwan and Daniel Scheinert, also known as The Daniels, who started off making music videos, debuted with Swiss Army Man, a bizarre and quirky movie that I really love. Their next film, Everything Everywhere All at Once, is set to release next year. I'm including them on this list because that's how much faith Swiss Army Man has given me in their abilities. I also wanted to include Barry Jenkins, another heavy hitter who I thought only had 2 movies out, but actually has 3 features, meaning that I have more research yet to do if I want to get on Tarantino's level of film knowledge. As we just saw, the sophomore slump is avoidable, but that doesn't mean it's not difficult. The significance of putting out a good second movie proves that the directors didn't just get lucky. They prove that they are masters of their craft, and that they know how to work efficiently with the team and cast, especially the crew, to create amazing films that expand the world of cinema and the minds of their audiences. Movie making is a team effort, and the director cannot take sole credit for their work. Films are more than just good or bad. They're about passion and the love for the medium. They're about telling stories in ways that just feel right.